Ethan Cole woke to the soft hum of alien machinery, the sterile glow of blue light washing over the medical chamber. His body felt heavy, every muscle stiff from the wounds he had suffered during the skirmish on Doran 4. He remembered fire, shouts, and the crushing weight of rubble before everything went dark. Now he was here, surrounded by walls that pulsed faintly, as if the very room was alive. Shapes moved at the edge of his blurred vision. One of them stepped closer, her tall figure framed by the glow. She was not human. Her skin shimmered faintly like polished silver, and her eyes glowed with calm golden light. She was one of them, the Sci-Fi healers. "Do not move too quickly." Her voice echoed softly in accented English. "Your bones were broken in 3 places. Your body is still fragile." Ethan tried to sit up, but winced in pain. "Where am I?" His throat felt dry, his words rough. "In our medical ward. You were found among the ruins. You would not have survived without intervention." She reached for a slender device, pressed it gently against his chest, and a warmth spread through him. The pain dulled instantly. Ethan blinked, staring at her, trying to read her expression. There was a kindness there, but also something hidden beneath her calm mask. "What is your name?" he asked. "Elira," she said softly. "I am assigned to your care." Days blurred together after that. Ethan drifted between restless dreams and brief waking moments where Elira tended to his wounds. She was careful, precise, but there was always a strange tension in her movements, as if she was holding back a truth. He noticed the way her gaze lingered when she thought he was asleep, and the way her hands sometimes trembled when preparing his treatments. Then, on the 4th day, everything changed. He awoke to find her standing over him, holding a vial filled with liquid that glowed faintly green, pulsing like it was alive. "This is the final stage of your recovery," she whispered. "It will restore what was broken." Ethan frowned. "That does not look like any medicine I have seen before." Elira hesitated, her golden eyes flickering. "It is standard for accelerated healing. Please, trust me." He wanted to argue, but exhaustion pressed on him. He felt weak, vulnerable, and without her care, he knew he would not have lasted this long. With a reluctant nod, he allowed her to press the injector against his arm. The serum entered his veins like fire. His heart slammed against his ribs. His vision sharpened so suddenly that every detail of the room snapped into terrifying clarity. The cracks in the ceiling, the faint flicker of the machines, even the subtle rhythm of Elira's breathing. His hearing stretched outward, catching distant footsteps in the corridor, the whisper of air vents above, the low thrum of power conduits beneath the floor. "What did you do to me?" Ethan gasped, gripping the edge of the bed so hard the frame bent beneath his fingers. Elira's face drained of color. She stepped back, her voice low and trembling. "You must not speak of this. Ever. That was not meant for you." The words chilled him more than the serum burning in his blood. Ethan's body trembled as waves of raw energy coursed through him. He forced himself to steady his breathing, but every sense was screaming. He could hear the footsteps of someone 3 rooms away, the faint electric buzz of the lights, even the slow thud of Elira's double heartbeat. He turned to her, eyes wide with both fear and awe. "You said it was standard treatment," he muttered. "But this is not normal." Elira's golden eyes darted toward the door as if she expected someone to burst in. She leaned closer, her voice barely audible. "That formula is restricted. It was designed only for Sci-Fi elite warriors. No human has ever received it. If my superiors discover this, they will execute me." Ethan's grip on the bed tightened. "Then why did you give it to me?" Her gaze softened for a moment, and Ethan saw something more than fear. Guilt, perhaps, or compassion, because you would have died. Your injuries were beyond what my medical supplies could handle. I could not watch you fade away." Before he could answer, a sharp pang struck his skull. His vision blurred, and voices he did not recognize hissed in the back of his mind. Fragments of words, alien tones, like whispers leaking from a language he should not understand. He pressed his hands to his temples, gasping. "Ethan!" Elira rushed to his side, her hands hovering above him but not touching. "What do you hear?" "They are speaking," he said through gritted teeth. "Voices. But they are not yours. Not Sci-Fi either. Something else." Her expression grew pale. No, that cannot be. The serum should not do this." The whispers grew louder, sharper, until they coiled into his dreams that night. He saw visions of massive ships burning in the void, alien warriors locked in endless battle, a shadowy figure watching him from across a battlefield that stretched into infinity. He woke drenched in sweat, his body burning with power that frightened him more than it thrilled him. The next day, when Elira came to check on him, Ethan caught her wrist before she could touch the monitor. His grip was strong, too strong, and she flinched. "What did you put inside me?" His voice carried an edge he did not recognize in himself. She stared at his hand on her wrist, then back into his eyes. Finally, she whispered, "I gave you the blood of my people's warriors. It was never meant for human biology. I do not know what it will do to you." Silence stretched between them, heavy and fragile. Then a faint sound reached Ethan's ears, boots approaching from the corridor. Not one set, but three, moving in perfect rhythm. "Soldiers." Elira's eyes widened. "Hide what you feel. Do not let them see your strength." The door slid open, and three Scifi soldiers entered, their armor gleaming under the sterile lights. Their leader, taller than the others, regarded Ethan with an unblinking stare. "The human is awake," the officer said, his voice deep and commanding. "Good. Command wishes to question him about the skirmish." Ethan forced his breathing to steady, hiding the storm raging inside him. Elira stepped aside, but her eyes lingered on him with a silent plea, "Stay quiet." The soldiers did not know it yet, but something inside Ethan had already begun to change. The Scifi officer's gaze was cold, unreadable. He stepped closer to the bed, his armor plates whispering against each other. "Human," he said, "you were found among the wreckage of our outpost. You will tell us what you saw before the collapse." Ethan met his glowing eyes, forcing his breathing to stay calm. His senses were screaming with detail, the faint tremor of the officer's pulse, the metallic tang of their weapons, even the shift of Elira's weight as she tried not to draw attention to herself. It was almost overwhelming, like standing under a flood of information he could not shut off. "I do not remember much," Ethan said slowly. "There was fire, then rubble. I woke here." The officer narrowed his eyes, as if measuring the truth. Another soldier stepped forward, holding a scanning device. A thin beam of light swept across Ethan's body. The machine emitted a soft chime. "Strange," the soldier muttered. "His vitals are irregular, elevated beyond human baseline." Ethan felt his heart thud harder. The officer tilted his head. "Irregular? Explain." "Strength indicators far higher than expected. Reflex capacity spiking. Almost augmented." Elira's hands clenched tightly at her sides, but her voice remained steady. "That is the result of our healing protocols. Human biology responds unpredictably to our technology. It is nothing unusual." The officer studied her carefully. The silence stretched long enough that Ethan thought his heart might burst. Then, with a curt nod, the officer turned toward the door. "Bring him to command tomorrow. He will be questioned more thoroughly." The soldiers filed out, leaving the room heavy with tension. The door sealed shut. Ethan exhaled sharply, his hands still gripping the bed rail. "They know something is different," he muttered. Elira stepped closer, her golden eyes clouded with fear. "Not yet, but if they learn the truth, both of us are finished." He stared at her, anger and confusion boiling inside. "You said the serum was for your warriors. Why would it give me this?" Her voice trembled. "Because it is not only medicine. It carries a fragment of who we are. Our strength, our instincts. But it was designed to merge with Scifi blood, not human. Your body is adapting in ways I cannot predict." As if on cue, Ethan's vision blurred. For a moment, the room dissolved around him, replaced by the vast blackness of space. A fleet of ships hung in silence, then erupted into fire as beams of light carved through their hulls. A monstrous voice echoed in his skull, deep and ancient. "You are not ready, human." Ethan snapped back into the room, gasping for air. His skin was damp with sweat, and his hands shook. Elira gripped his shoulder. "What did you see?" "War," he whispered. "And something else. Something watching me." Elira drew back, her face pale. "Then the serum has done more than change your body. It has awakened the old bond. The voices you hear, they are from the Varric, our ancient enemy." The name lingered in the air like poison. Ethan's stomach knotted. "And now they know me." For the first time, Elira's composure broke. Fear flickered openly in her eyes. "If that is true, then you are marked. Not just by the Varric, but by my own people as well. The name Varric echoed inside Ethan's skull long after Elira spoke it. His body still trembled from the vision, every nerve humming like a live wire. He sat up slowly, the strength in his limbs unnatural, almost frightening. Marked, he muttered. What does that even mean? Elira lowered her gaze. Her silver skin caught the pale blue light of the chamber, and for the first time since he had met her, she looked fragile. The Varric are not just enemies. They are predators of the mind. Long ago, they waged war against us by binding themselves to our warriors through this same serum. It was a way to track, to corrupt, to dominate. That is why the formula is forbidden for humans. You should not be able to carry their presence. Ethan rubbed his temples. Well, lucky me. I have them whispering in my head already. Before Elira could answer, the chamber lights flickered, then dimmed. A low vibration rattled through the walls. Ethan tensed instantly, his sharpened hearing catching the distant alarms before they reached the room. Elira stiffened. That is not a drill. A voice crackled through the intercom, harsh and urgent. All personnel, battle stations. Unidentified vessels breaching outer perimeter. The word hung in the air unspoken, but Ethan felt it from the way Elira's eyes widened. Varric. She turned to him, her voice sharp now, almost commanding. You must stay here. Do not let anyone see what you can do. If they realize you are bound to the Varric, they will end you before the enemy even arrives. Ethan clenched his jaw. I am not just going to sit here while your people fight outside. You do not understand, she whispered fiercely. If you step out there, the Varric will sense you. They will come for you. The door hissed open before he could argue, and another figure rushed in. This one was not armored like the soldiers. He was older, his skin etched with faint silver lines that marked rank. His eyes, brighter than Elira's, locked onto Ethan with unsettling precision. Human, he said, his voice calm despite the alarms. You are awake. Good. You will come with me. Elira stepped in front of Ethan. High Medic Kalar. He is not ready to leave the ward. Kalar's gaze cut into her like a blade. Do not interfere, Elira. Command has summoned him. They suspect he has seen something we must know. Ethan felt the whispers stir again in the back of his mind, growing louder as the vibrations outside intensified. He swayed slightly, clutching the bed rail. In his vision, ships screamed through the void, their shadows stretching like claws toward him. Elira grabbed his arm, her voice low and desperate. If you go with them now, everything will be revealed. They will test you, and they will know. Please, Ethan, do not let them take you. Kalar narrowed his eyes. What are you hiding, nurse? The tension snapped tight, the alarms still blaring, the whispers gnawing louder in Ethan's skull. He knew he could not stay hidden much longer. And for the first time, he wondered if the Varric were already inside the station, reaching for him even now. The room shook violently as another alarm blared, deeper and more urgent. Ethan's sharpened hearing caught the sound of distant explosions rippling through the station. The Varric had arrived. Kalar's expression hardened. We have no time for this. Human, move. Elira stepped in front of Ethan again, her golden eyes flashing with defiance. He is not stable. If you take him to command now, you will destroy him. Kalar's gaze was sharp and suspicious, but before he could reply, the wall panels trembled. A low, guttural roar echoed through the corridors, not from machinery, but from something alive. Ethan's blood ran cold. The whispers in his skull surged like a tide, chanting in a language he almost understood. Find him. Claim him. He is ours. Kalar stiffened, his eyes darting toward the door. They have breached the inner ring, he muttered. Impossible. The door burst open, and chaos followed. The first Varric warrior crashed through, its body taller than any human, covered in obsidian armor that seemed grown rather than forged. Its eyes glowed with sickly green light, and its limbs moved with unnatural speed. The Serati soldiers outside shouted, weapons firing, but the creature shrugged off their attacks and lunged into the chamber. Ethan's instincts ignited. His body moved before his mind caught up, faster than he thought possible. He shoved Elira aside, just as the Varric's clawed arms swept across the room. The strike slammed into the bed where he had been lying, shearing it in half. Ethan's heart thundered. Every muscle burned with alien fire. He seized a broken metal frame from the wreckage and swung it with terrifying strength. The improvised weapon struck the Varric square in the chest, sending the towering creature staggering backward into the wall. The soldiers outside froze for a split second, their glowing eyes widening. Kaler's voice cut through the chaos. By the stars, what has been done to you? Ethan barely heard him. His vision sharpened until every detail of the Varric's movements unfolded before him in slow clarity. The creature lunged again, but this time Ethan sidestepped with speed that should have been impossible. He drove the jagged frame into its exposed joint, and a spray of black ichor splattered across the chamber floor. The Varric let out a piercing shriek before collapsing. Ethan stood over it, his chest heaving, his hands dripping with alien blood. The whispers in his mind grew louder, almost triumphant. Yes, you are one of us now. Elira's face was pale with shock. She whispered, Ethan, you should not be able to fight like that. Kaler's eyes burned with suspicion and fury. Explain this, Elira. Now. The door behind them shook again, this time with the pounding of more Varric forcing their way through. The battle outside was spilling inward. There would be no more time for questions. Ethan wiped the black blood from his hands, his senses still crackling with unnatural energy. You want answers? He said, his voice steady despite the chaos. Then help me survive this. Because more of them are coming. Elira looked at him with fear and something else, something like hope. The floor trembled again, dust shaking from the ceiling. Ethan's sharpened hearing picked up the heavy march of more Varric claws scraping against the corridor walls. They were coming fast, too many to count. Kaler drew a sleek weapon from his side, a blade that shimmered with faint silver energy. His eyes locked on Ethan. Whatever you are, human, you will fight with us. If you can bring one of them down with your bare hands, then perhaps we stand a chance. Ethan's grip tightened around the bent frame he still held. The strange strength inside him pulsed with every heartbeat, urging him to act. Fine, he said, his voice rough. But after this, you are going to tell me everything. Elira moved quickly, activating a panel on the wall. A compartment opened, revealing a second weapon, a staff lined with glowing veins of energy. She pressed it into Ethan's hands. This will respond to your strength. Do not let it control you. The words confused him, but there was no time to ask. The door groaned under the weight of claws raking against it, the metal glowing red from heat. Then, with a deafening crash, it gave way. 3 Varric poured into the chamber, each larger and more monstrous than the last. Their bodies seemed alive with shadows, their eyes burning green. Ethan felt the whispers in his skull explode into a chorus, each voice pressing against his mind. Join us. You belong to us. Get out of my head. Ethan snarled, gripping the staff. The first Varric lunged, claws slashing for his throat. Ethan moved faster than he thought possible, spinning the staff in an arc that cracked against its skull. The blow sent the creature crashing into the wall. Kaler was already moving, his silver blade flashing. He cut through another Varric's arm in one fluid strike, the alien roaring in fury. Elira stood behind them, weaving her hands over a console. Barriers flickered to life, slowing the flood of enemies forcing their way inside. But still, there were too many. Ethan fought like a man possessed. His movements were guided not by thought but by instinct. Instinct that did not feel entirely his own. He struck, dodged, and countered with a precision that frightened him. Every blow seemed fueled by something deeper, something whispering inside him. One Varric tackled him to the ground, its claws inches from his chest. Ethan's vision flared red, and he roared, shoving upward with unnatural force. Bones cracked, and the monster's body went limp. Black ichor spilled across his arms, hot and foul. He staggered to his feet, gasping. The whispers hissed louder than ever. Yes, kill them all. You are ours. Elira's voice cut through the chaos. Ethan, do not listen to them. Her voice grounded him just enough to focus. Together with Kaler, they pushed back the last of the Varric, driving the survivors back into the corridor. The door sealed again, reinforced this time with heavy locks. The chamber fell into tense silence, broken only by the hiss of Ethan's ragged breaths. His hands shook as he dropped the bloodied staff, the alien ichor dripping from his skin. Kaler turned on Elira, fury burning in his golden eyes. What did you do to him? Elira lowered her gaze, her voice trembling. I saved his life. Saved him? Kaler's voice was sharp as steel. You have cursed him. Look at him. He fights like a Varric. He hears their voices. He is bound to them now. Ethan's fists clenched. Bound or not, I just saved your life. Do not forget that. But even as he spoke, he felt the truth in Kaler's words. Something was inside him now, something that was not human, and he feared it was only getting stronger. The chamber smelled of burnt metal and black ichor. Alarms still wailed faintly in the distance, muffled by the sealed door. Ethan wiped his hands on his ruined clothes, but the stains of Varric blood clung stubbornly, dark against his skin. Kaler's glare never softened. You are a danger to everyone on this station. The Varric will not stop until they claim you. And my people will not tolerate your presence once they realize what you are becoming. Ethan shot him a hard look. So what do you suggest? Kill me before they get the chance. The Scifi warrior did not answer, but the silence was enough. Elira stepped between them, her golden eyes fierce. No, he lives because of me, and I will not let you condemn him. If command finds out, they will execute him and me both. Kaler's jaw tightened. Then perhaps command should know. Ethan felt the whispers rising again, louder now, as if feeding on the tension in the room. He pressed his palms to his skull, trying to block them out. The alien voices slithered through his mind like knives. They will turn on you. They will fear you. Only we accept you. He slammed a fist against the wall, denting the metal. Both Scifi turned to him, startled. His voice was hoarse when he spoke. Enough. I am not one of them. I am not. Elira touched his arm gently. Her hand trembled, but her voice steadied. Then you must leave before they decide for you. If you stay here, they will test you, expose you, and then, she swallowed. They will end you. Ethan stared at her. And what about you? I chose this path the moment I saved you, she whispered. If you go, I will go with you. Kaler's eyes widened. Elira. No, her voice cut sharp. You saw what he did out there. He is not only human now. He may be the only one who can stand against the Varric. If we abandon him, we may doom more than just this station. The older Scifi held her gaze for a long, tense moment. Then he looked at Ethan, his expression caught between anger and reluctant respect. If you leave, you will be hunted. By the Varric and by us. Do you understand that, human? Ethan met his eyes. I have been hunted before. Kaler exhaled sharply, turning away. Then go. But know this. If you fall fully to the Varric's call, I will be the one to end you. The threat hung in the air like a blade. Ethan nodded once. He understood. Elira moved quickly, gathering supplies from hidden compartments, serum vials, medical tools, a compact communicator. She pressed a small device into Ethan's palm. This will mask your biosignature for a short time. It will keep them from tracking you until we are clear. The station shook again as distant explosions rattled the walls. The battle outside was far from over. Ethan tightened his grip on the device. His mind still echoed with the Varric's whispers, but Elira's voice cut through them like light through shadow. Then let us go, he said, his voice steady, before there is nothing left to escape from. And together, they stepped into the uncertain dark of the corridor beyond, leaving behind the chamber where everything had changed. The corridor was alive with chaos. Emergency lights pulsed in crimson waves, casting long shadows across the walls. Ethan's sharpened senses picked up every sound. The hiss of sparking wires overhead, the muffled cries of wounded Scifi deeper inside, and the thunder of distant battles shaking the hall. Elira moved quickly, her long strides almost gliding. She kept close to the wall, her golden eyes scanning every corner. Ethan followed, his muscles tense, the masking device humming faintly in his palm. For the moment, the Varric's whispers had dulled, like waves retreating before another storm. They passed a junction where smoke billowed from a shattered bulkhead. A Scifi soldier lay slumped against the wall, his armor cracked and his weapon flickering with dying light. He looked up as they approached, his glowing eyes narrowing on Ethan. Why is the human here? He rasped, blood coating his silver lips. Elira crouched beside him, her voice calm but urgent. Command has ordered us to move him to safety. Do not waste your strength. The soldier coughed, shaking his head weakly. No safety, not anymore. They are everywhere. His gaze shifted to Ethan, and for a heartbeat, Ethan thought he saw fear there. They want you. Before Ethan could answer, the soldier's body went still, his eyes dimming. Elira closed them gently and stood, her expression heavy but resolute. We must keep moving. The path grew more dangerous the deeper they went. Twice, they had to duck into side corridors to avoid patrols of Scifi soldiers. Ethan's heart pounded each time. He could feel Kaler's warning echoing in his mind. Hunted by both humans and aliens. Already, it was coming true. Then the whispers surged back, sharper than before. Ethan staggered, gripping his head. The voices hissed and roared, filling his skull with jagged syllables that twisted into meaning. We are close. We see you. You cannot run. Elira grabbed his arm, steadying him. The mask is failing. They are finding us. He forced himself upright, his jaw tight. Then we moved faster. They reached a wide hangar bay, its doors torn open by explosions. Fires burned across the floor, wreckage of ships and bodies scattered everywhere. In the center stood a Varric warrior, larger than the ones Ethan had faced before. Its obsidian armor seemed fused with its flesh, and its green eyes locked onto him the moment he entered. The whispers in Ethan's mind roared with triumph. There you are. The creature raised its weapon, a jagged blade that pulsed with the same green light as its eyes. It spoke, and this time Ethan understood without translation. You carry our mark, human. Come to us, and you will be whole. Elira stepped in front of Ethan, her staff raised. Do not listen. They will consume you. Ethan's pulse hammered. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but the fire in his blood burned hotter than fear. He stepped forward, his voice steady. I am not yours. And as the Varric charged, Ethan felt the alien power within him flare, ready to unleash itself once more. The Varric warrior thundered across the hangar, each step shaking the floor. Its blade cut the air with a hiss that made Ethan's teeth ache. Time seemed to stretch as his sharpened senses locked onto every motion, every detail. The flicker of flames behind the creature, the weight of its footfalls, even the faint crackle of energy dancing across its jagged weapon. Ethan moved before thought could stop him. The power inside his blood roared to life, guiding his body with a terrifying precision. He twisted aside as the blade came down, the impact carving a molten scar into the floor where he had been standing. The heat licked at his skin, but his reflexes had carried him clear. Elira shouted something, but her voice was drowned by the pounding in Ethan's skull. The whispers surged again, not as chaos this time, but as instruction. Strike low. Tear its joint. Break it. For an instant, he almost obeyed. The clarity of their command was undeniable, but he gritted his teeth and shoved their voices aside, forcing himself to move on his own. He swung the staff Elira had given him, the weapon glowing faintly in his grip. It connected with the Varric's knee joint, cracking the armor with a sharp snap. The creature roared, stumbling. Its blade whirled in a wide arc, sparks flying as it struck the wreckage beside Ethan. The shockwave sent him tumbling, but he rolled to his feet faster than he thought possible, blood and adrenaline burning in unison. The Varric lunged again, and this time Ethan did not dodge. He stepped inside the monster's reach, and drove the glowing staff upward into its chest. The weapon shuddered with impact, green ichor spraying as the creature staggered back. The whispers howled with triumph in his mind. Yes. Kill. End it. Ethan's arms trembled. He could feel the line between himself and the voices thinning, blurring. If he gave in, if he surrendered for even a moment, he knew the Varric would have him. Ethan, Elira's voice cut through the storm. Do not let them take you. Her words anchored him. He tightened his grip, forced his mind clear, and with a final roar he spun the staff in a brutal arc. The blow cracked through the Varric's skull. Its green eyes flared once, then dimmed, and the massive body collapsed to the floor with a ground-shaking thud. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of fires. Ethan stood over the corpse, chest heaving, his hands shaking violently. The whispers faded, but not completely. They lingered like shadows at the edge of his thoughts. Elira rushed to his side, her expression a mix of relief and fear. You fought them, she whispered, but you also resisted them. Ethan dropped the staff, his knees nearly buckling. Barely. He looked down at the ruined body of the Varric. And that was only one. From deeper in the hangar came another sound. Not footsteps, not claws. Engines. A sleek Cerati shuttle powered up, its wings unfolding. Elira's eyes widened. That is our chance. If we reach it, we can escape the station before command, or the Varric trap us here. Ethan stared at the shuttle, then at her. His pulse slowed, but the fire in his veins still burned. Escape to where? Her voice was low, steady, but urgent. Anywhere the Varric cannot find you. If such a place still exists. Ethan nodded once. His choice was made. Together, they sprinted toward the shuttle as the station groaned around them, war tearing it apart piece by piece. The hangar roared with chaos as Ethan and Elira raced toward the shuttle. Fire licked the walls, and fragments of shattered hull rained from above. Behind them, alarms screamed warnings in a dozen alien tongues, each one a countdown to destruction. Ethan's senses painted everything in painful detail. The grind of metal tearing apart overhead, the uneven rhythm of Elira's double heartbeat as she ran beside him, and the faint hum of energy weapons charging in the corridor behind. Sci-Fi soldiers were coming. Not to save them, but to stop them. Elira reached the shuttle first, slamming her palm against the control panel. The hatch hissed open, and she scrambled inside. Ethan followed, ducking under the rising door just as a volley of plasma bolts streaked across the hangar. Sparks exploded where they struck the floor. The voices surged in Ethan's skull again, wild with laughter. "Run, little human. You cannot hide from us." He shoved the whispers down, forcing himself into the co-pilot's seat as Elira worked the controls. Her long fingers danced across glowing runes, and the shuttle's engines screamed to life. The hangar doors ahead began to close, heavy slabs grinding shut. Over the comms, a commanding Sci-Fi voice thundered. "Unauthorized launch detected. Disable immediately." Ethan's instincts burned. He grabbed the weapon's control, barely understanding the alien symbols, yet his hands moved as if guided. Twin cannons beneath the shuttle blazed to life, blasting the closing doors. Metal shrieked and tore apart, leaving a ragged gap just wide enough for escape. Elira shot him a look, half shock and half awe. "How did you?" "Do not ask," Ethan said through gritted teeth. The shuttle surged forward, engines roaring as it shot through the gap into open space. Stars flared around them, vast and endless, but freedom lasted only seconds. 3 Sci-Fi interceptors swooped in from above, weapons hot. "They will destroy us before the Varric even try," Elira muttered, jerking the shuttle into a hard roll. Energy bolts streaked past the hull, shaking the cabin with each near miss. Ethan's veins burned hotter, the fire inside him rising with every second. His vision sharpened again, showing him paths, angles, possibilities. He saw the interceptors moving before they moved. The whispers pressed into his mind, urging him to act. "Take them. Break them. You cannot be hunted if you are the hunter." His hands tightened on the controls. He could end this fight in seconds if he let the power loose. But at what cost? Elira's voice cut through the storm. "Ethan, stay with me. Do not give in. You are still human." The words steadied him just enough. He breathed once, sharp and controlled, then guided the shuttle into a dive. Plasma bolts seared past, but he twisted the ship with unnatural precision, bringing the cannons around. One interceptor erupted in flames, spinning into the void. The other 2 broke formation, regrouping for another strike. Before they could, a shadow fell across the stars. Ethan's blood ran cold. A massive Varric warship drifted into view, its hull jagged and alive, as if carved from a living thing. Green lights pulsed across its surface like veins. The whispers in Ethan's skull became a scream of triumph. "Home. Come to us." Elira's face went pale. No, they were waiting. The Varric ship began to open, revealing a maw of energy that glowed like the heart of a star. Ethan gripped the controls tighter. His voice was low, steady, but fierce. "Then we do not run anymore. We fight." The Varric warship loomed ahead, its vast hull swallowing the stars. The green-lit maw at its center pulsed brighter, a heartbeat of alien hunger. Ethan gripped the shuttle controls, every nerve in his body sparking like fire. The 2 Sci-Fi interceptors circled back, weapons locking onto the shuttle. Their comm signals blared over the channel, a command Ethan barely understood. Stand down, or be destroyed. Elira's hands flew over the console, her voice sharp with panic. "If they fire now, the Varric will tear through all of us. They do not understand what they are facing." Ethan's senses sharpened again. He could see the interceptors' flight paths before they committed to them, their maneuvers unfolding like a map in his mind. The Varric whispers urged him onward, almost gleeful. "Strike now. Take them. Spill their fire." His knuckles whitened on the controls. "Elira, if I fight them, I lose myself. If I do nothing, we all die. Her golden eyes locked on his. Then fight as yourself, not as them. Trust who you are. The words struck deeper than the voices. He inhaled, grounding himself, then dove the shuttle hard. Plasma fire seared past, and he spun the cannons upward. With deadly precision, he clipped one interceptor's wing. The Cerati craft spiraled, venting sparks, before vanishing into the shadow of the Varric ship. The second interceptor hesitated. For a heartbeat, Ethan thought the pilot might retreat. Then the Varric warship unleashed its power. Green tendrils of energy lashed outward, alive and writhing. One struck the remaining interceptor, and the ship disintegrated in a scream of light. The whispers in Ethan's skull shuddered with pleasure. Yes, see their weakness. Only we endure. Ethan's stomach turned, but there was no time to recoil. The warship turned its maw toward them, energy building into a blinding inferno. Hold on, Elira shouted. Ethan's instincts took over. He pulled the shuttle into a steep climb, weaving between the writhing tendrils of energy. One brushed the hull, sending a violent shudder through the cabin. Warning lights screamed. The power in his blood surged higher, dragging his mind closer to the edge. His vision filled with images not his own, fleets burning, galaxies consumed, the Varric spreading like a plague. For a moment, he saw himself among them, his eyes glowing green, leading their charge. No, he roared, slamming the controls forward. The shuttle dived toward the warship itself, skimming so close the jagged surface nearly tore their wings away. He threaded the ship through a gap in the living armor, every motion precise, almost impossible. The maw of the Varric ship fired behind them, but the blast missed, ripping apart the void instead. Elira clung to the seat, her eyes wide. Ethan, no Cerati could have flown like that. He did not answer. His hands shook violently, not from fear, but from the power still coursing through him. The voices whispered softly now, coaxing rather than demanding. You are ours already. The galaxy will fall with you. Ethan forced them down, grinding his teeth. Not today. Ahead, an opening appeared in the Varric hull, a docking breach, unguarded in the chaos. Elira's eyes widened. If we go in there, we may never come out. Or we end this, Ethan said, voice low. The shuttle hurtled toward the darkness of the Varric warship. The shuttle plunged into the breach, swallowed by the jagged opening of the Varric warship. Darkness consumed them at once, broken only by the faint green glow that pulsed through the alien corridors like veins inside a living body. The ship did not feel like metal. It felt alive, breathing, waiting. Ethan's pulse pounded with every second. The whispers in his skull grew stronger, not distant anymore, but intimate, as though the walls themselves were speaking. You have come home. Accept what you are. Become whole. Elira's hands gripped the console so tightly her knuckles turned pale. This is madness. No one enters a Varric vessel and survives. Ethan's eyes scanned the strange passageway ahead, guided by something deeper than sight. He could feel the ship's design as though it were laid into his bones. Every turn, every chamber, every danger waiting. Then we are going to do what no one has done before, he said. The shuttle shuddered as it landed in a cavernous docking chamber. Green light spilled across the walls, and shadowy figures began to emerge. Varric warriors, dozens of them, their glowing eyes fixed on the intruders. Elira's breath caught. We cannot fight them all. Ethan's veins burned with fire. He stepped forward, leaving the safety of the shuttle, the whispers roaring inside him. But this time, something was different. The Varric warriors did not charge. They lowered their weapons and parted, forming a path. At the end of the path, a colossal figure waited. Taller than the others, its armor fused seamlessly with its flesh, green light radiating from every seam. Its presence pressed into Ethan's mind like a weight. At last, the voice thundered within him. The human who carries our blood. You are not prey. You are the bridge. Elira's hand brushed Ethan's arm, her voice sharp with fear. Do not listen. They will twist you until nothing of you remains. Ethan's chest heaved. Every instinct screamed to run, yet the pull toward the figure was undeniable. His legs moved without command, carrying him down the path. The whispers rose into a chorus, welcoming, triumphant. The figure leaned closer, its green eyes boring into him. Your kind was never meant to resist us. But you will lead them to us. You will open every door, break every chain. With you, we will consume the stars. Ethan clenched his fists. His body trembled, not from fear but from the war inside his blood. For a heartbeat, he felt himself slipping, his vision turning green, his heart echoing the rhythm of the Varric. Then Elira's voice cut through the storm, steady, unwavering. Ethan, you are more than what they made you. You are not theirs. You are mine. Her words struck like lightning, grounding him, dragging him back from the edge. He gasped, his vision clearing, and the fire inside him twisted, not surrender, but defiance. Ethan raised his voice, steady and strong. I am not your bridge. I am your end. The Varric leader's eyes flared, and the chamber erupted in chaos. The Varric leader's roar shook the chamber, a sound that was more than noise. It was inside Ethan's skull, pressing against his mind like claws. The warriors around them surged forward, their green eyes blazing, but they did not attack. They waited, circling, as if the true battle was not theirs to fight. Ethan staggered under the psychic weight, his vision blurring at the edges. The fire in his veins surged, boiling, begging to be released. He dropped to one knee, teeth gritted, while the whispers pressed harder. Stop resisting. Accept us. You are already one of us. Elira rushed to his side, her staff glowing as she raised it defensively toward the advancing Varric. Her voice was fierce, but it trembled with desperation. Ethan, listen to me. They cannot take you unless you let them. Do not give them permission. Her hand pressed against his shoulder, grounding him. For a heartbeat, her touch silenced the storm. He looked up at her, sweat burning his eyes. If I fight them, I might lose myself. Then fight for me, she said, golden eyes burning with fire. Not for them. Not even for yourself. Fight for me. Something shifted inside Ethan at her words. The voices shrieked in fury, but they no longer guided his strength. They recoiled from it. He rose to his feet, fists trembling, and locked eyes with the Varric leader. The creature's voice thundered. You cannot kill what you are becoming. Ethan's reply was a growl. Watch me. The chamber exploded in motion. The Varric leader swung its massive claw, but Ethan caught it mid-strike. For an instant, their strength matched, alien against alien. But Ethan pushed harder, fueled not by the whispers, but by his own will. With a roar, he twisted, snapping the armored limb at the joint. The Varric bellowed in rage. Warriors surged forward, but Elira moved with startling speed, her staff flaring as she struck the ground. A shockwave rippled outward, knocking several back. Focus on the leader, she shouted. Ethan did not need the reminder. The fire inside him erupted, but this time it did not feel like surrender. It felt like control. Every movement came with clarity. He ducked under a second strike, slammed his fist into the Varric's chest, and felt its armor crack beneath his hand. The whispers screamed in his head, desperate now. No, you are ours. You cannot. Shut up. Ethan roared, and with a final surge he drove his glowing fist through the Varric leader's chest. The green light inside the creature flared violently, then shattered. The leader collapsed in a heap, its eyes dimming. Around them, the other Varric froze, their voices silenced. Then, one by one, they withdrew into the shadows, vanishing like smoke. The chamber fell still. Ethan stood over the broken body, chest heaving, his skin slick with sweat and ichor. The whispers were gone. For the first time since the injection, his mind was silent. Elira rushed to him, her hand gripping his arm. Ethan, you did it. His voice was hoarse, but steady. No, we did it. But even as relief washed over him, he felt the truth deep in his bones. The fire inside him had not gone out. He had won today, but the war within him was not over. Elira seemed to sense it too. She held his gaze, her voice quiet but resolute. Then we will fight it together. Whatever comes next. Ethan looked at her, the silence in his mind holding steady, and for the first time since the nightmare began, he believed her. The silence inside the Varric ship was unnerving. No more whispers, no more shadows pressing at the edge of Ethan's thoughts. The warriors had vanished as if dissolved into the walls, leaving only the echo of the leader's fall. Ethan leaned against the cracked chamber wall, his body heavy with exhaustion. The fire in his veins had cooled to embers, but he knew it was still there, waiting. Not gone, just quiet. Elira moved to the control nexus at the chamber's center, her hands moving quickly across its alien surface. If we stay here, more will come. But if I can access their systems, I can overload the core. It will destroy the ship from the inside. Ethan's eyes narrowed. And us with it. Her gaze flicked to him, steady despite the glow of green light reflecting off her face. Only if we do not leave in time. He pushed himself upright, the weight of fatigue dragging on every muscle, but he forced his body to move. Then let us finish this. The walls pulsed as if sensing her intrusion, veins of green light flaring brighter. Elira's golden eyes narrowed with focus. I have it, their core is exposed. They were feeding on the station itself. She slammed her hand down, and alarms howled, deeper and more guttural than anything Ethan had heard before. The ship shuddered violently, as if wounded. From the shadows, echoes of movement stirred again. The Varric had not abandoned them after all. They were waiting. Ethan tightened his fists, ready for another fight, but Elira grabbed his arm. No, they are not attacking. They are afraid. And she was right. The Varric warriors clung to the walls, their green eyes glowing dimmer than before. They did not advance. They only watched. Then let us keep them afraid, Ethan said, and together they ran back to the shuttle. The ship groaned around them, its walls splitting as green energy flared out of control. The docking bay shuddered as they launched, flames and debris chasing them into open space. Behind them, the Varric warship convulsed, its jagged hull tearing apart. Then, in a blinding eruption of light, it imploded, leaving only silence and fragments adrift in the void. Ethan slumped back in the co-pilot's chair, chest heaving. For the first time since his injection, there were no whispers. Only quiet. Elira piloted them away, her expression unreadable. Finally, she spoke, her voice soft. You realize what this means. The Varric will not stop. They will come again. And they will come for you most of all. Ethan stared at the distant wreckage, his jaw tightening. Then let them. I will not run forever. Not from them. Not from what I have become. She looked at him then, truly looked at him, and her voice was almost a whisper. And you will not face it alone. For the first time, Ethan allowed himself a faint smile. He turned his gaze back to the stars, endless and uncertain. Whatever he was now, man, weapon, or something in between, he would make his own choice of who he became. The galaxy had changed, and so had he. But this time, he was ready.